let's learn how to make a basic template, basic Zeus template for Armor 3. So, step 1, you're going to go to Single Player, Editor. Next, you're going to want to locate a map. Any map will be suitable for this test. We're going to go ahead and pick this one. So, we have selected our map. The next step is to figure out where we want our mission to start, where we want our soldiers to spawn. In this case, we are going to be picking Snake Island to the south here. The very first step is going to be to place our soldiers on the ground. So we are going to want to pick a faction that has troops that we want our men to spawn as. In this case, we're going to pick some Ukrainian soldiers. We're going to start with our very first soldier, our Zeus slot. So in order to make a Zeus slot, we have to select our soldier, put him down, we'll double click on him. We need to set his variable name to anything that you can remember. I use Z1 or Z1, Z2, Z3, etc. for how many Zeuses I want. I'm also going to name him so that when we pull up the template in a multiplayer setting and are ready to pick slots, that way we'll be able to tell who this is. So we'll name him Mako 6, company commander. We assign his variable name as Z1, and he needs to be selected as playable. Bam. Now to assign this soldier to Zeus, to allow him to access Zeus, we need to go to Systems, and then Zeus at the bottom, and then Game Master. We're going to place down the Game Master module. From here, we're going to assign its owner as whatever name we named our soldier as, in this case Z1, and then we will hit OK. So now if we start the template, and we're playing as this soldier, all we have to do is press Y, and we'll have Zeus. Next step, we are going to want to create the player slots for our first cav members here. So first one we're going to start with, or sorry, second one we're going to start with is the platoon leader. So this is going to be named Mako 16-platoon leader. We'll select him as a lieutenant. We'll hit OK. Next up, we'll have the RTO for the platoon. So Mako 16R dash platoon RTO. All right, and now this is our little headquarters element. All done. Now we have to start setting up the squads. So we'll start with 1-1. So we'll have make it 1-1 dash squad leader. And to make this easier, you can always copy this. And that way when we select our second trooper, we can just simply paste it in. We'll name it assistant squad leader. I think that's how you spell assistant. I don't remember. I'm doing this in a hurry. All right. Next we want make a 1-1 machine gunner. Make a 1-1 rifleman. And usually I put in more slots than are necessary, just so that people have an option of when they want to join the server, they can, if they want to be a machine gunner or a medic or an SDM or an engineer or something like that, they will have the option to. Grenadier. Rifleman AT. And lastly, we'll throw in a medic and 1-1. So we'll name it Combat Medic. For the medics, we have to go down to Object, Ace Options, and we're going to have to set them as a regular medic. This way that they start with the Ace permissions to perform advanced medical options. So there we go. We have our first set of slots set up for the first squad. Very easy way that we can do to make a second. So we can copy all these guys, or sorry, we can select all these guys, drag a box around them, and then Control C, Control V, bam, we've got a second squad. Now you just got to go through and change their names to make it 1-2. Whoops. All right, in this example, Maker 1-2 likes to have an engineer. Second squad does, so I'm gonna replace one of them with a combat engineer, and then I'm gonna go down to Ace Options, and I'm gonna make them an engineer. Now that that is done, I'm gonna put in a couple slots just for any of our recruits or reserve members. So I'm going to spawn down a rifleman. I'm going to name it reserves and recruit. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to place down 5 slots. I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to hold down left control, click on their little circle, and then drag all these lines to the first guy. That way now they're all in a group. And I'll just put them in the back there. Last thing we need to do is put down a slot for our pilot. So we're going to go over and call this guy Rattler 1-6, Aircraft Commander, and we're also going to give him both engineer and regular medic. All right, so now we at least have slots down. So in this template, people would be able to pick a slot and load in as this guy and play on the ground. Now we need to add a couple more things. In order to make this a functional template, we are going to have to add a respawn point, because if one of these troops dies without a respawn point, they will be forced to spectate for the rest of the mission. So in order to do this, we have to go to Markers. We're going to zoom into where we placed our troops. We're going to go to System, and we're going to select this empty marker. This is not actually going to show up on the map. It will be invisible, but it will be a, we can designate this as a respawn point. So we're going to double click on this map marker that we just placed down. We're going to change its variable name to respawn. After that, we're going to click OK. Next, to make sure that this is functional, we're going to go to Attributes, Multiplayer. In here where it says respawn, we're going to click respawn on custom position. We're also going to set our respawn delay to 15 seconds. Now we have a working respawn marker. So if any of these troops die, they'll have 15 seconds until they respawn here. All right. Next thing that we're going to have to do is we should add an arsenal for our troops to use. It's very simple. In the first cav mods, we have an arsenal already set up. If you go to our F1 Objects tab, and then you go to Props, and at the very top it says 1 cav, ammo boxes, Ace Arsenal crate. Plop that down anywhere that you want nearby. Next, another thing that I like to do is add a couple boxes available for the guys if they want to bring any extra equipment. So I'm going to go to Objects, Props. I'm going to type in ammo. I'm going to search for first the Ace Medical supply crate that's advanced, it's very important that you click advanced and not basic. Advanced will come with all of the medical supplies that you'll need, like stints and surgical kits, blood, various kinds of bandages, morphine, epinephrine. If you select basic, it's going to only give you basic bandages and morphine. The advanced one is going to come with everything that you need. So we're going to place that down there. Bam. All right. Now let's give them a couple crates that are empty that they can put ammunition in. So let's pick this guy here. We'll do fine. It says basic ammo, NATO. This is going to be a carryable box. Let's go ahead and double click on it. And we are going to go down to equipment storage. We're going to hit clear to make sure that it's an empty box that the men can do with as they please. So if they want to put their own ammunition in here, they will now be able to. Now if we want to add another, we're just going to Control C it and then Control V it. And now this will be another empty box. Double clicking on it to check. Yeah, and if you look under equipment storage, it's empty. So perfect. All right, now if we want to spruce up the spawn a little bit, I'm going to go again into props here. I'm going to go to curb, and I'm going to look for the concrete curbs, black and white. This is what I usually do for the spawn to just make it look pretty. I'm going to start off by placing 2 small ones. I'm going to try to align them, just eyeballing it to the best of my ability. Then I'm going to go into flags. I always put the American flag in the center here because we are a US unit. In this case, since we're playing as the Ukrainians, we'll plop down a little Ukraine flag on the side, and I don't know, just put a US Army flag in there to make it look pretty. All right, now that we have this selected, I'll place it down. I'll put our little headquarters troop by it, and then I'm going to try to align this curb up as well for first squad. We'll put down a second squad, and then we'll put in the reserve troops, and then we'll put in one for our pilot on the side. You don't have to do this, this is optional, but I like to make it pretty and special for the guys. So I'm just going to drag and drop these guys so they're a little bit closer to the line. Again, this is optional. All right, so now we have our spawn set up. We're going to now do a couple other little finishing touches for our mission. These are going to be some things that are still going to be expected of you if you're going to host a operation at First Cav. So we've placed down our spawn, but something very helpful. Whenever our troops spawn in, they're not going to know where they are, especially if there's not a warning order or an operation order. So something that we can do is we can press M to pull up our map here, and then we can put down a map marker to show them where our spawn is, and I find that it is rather helpful. So I'm going to go to the standard drawn, I'm going to select flag, I'm going to drop down a flag, I'm going to change its color to blue so it's, you know, like light blue, royal blue, and then in text I'm going to put, just for example for this one, headquarters. I'm going to place it down wherever we spawned. This way when the troops spawn in, they're going to see this big headquarters flag and they're going to know, okay, we just spawned right here. This is, you know, my reference point. Now after reading the war note and everything, I understand that we're right here. Okay. Several other things that we can do. We're going to go to systems, or if you press F5, it'll pull that up. And we are going to add down a couple other modules that allow us to have further functionality in game. So for example, I want people to be able to use the fortify tool and build defenses. So if we want that to happen, if we want that to work, we're going to have to go to Ace, Fortify. We're going to place down the Fortify module. Then we're going to double click it. We're going to select side blue 4, which is what our players are going to be playing as. And now we have various presets here. These presets basically will give you different, give the players different fortifications to build. And I believe the one that we prefer is medium green. Could be wrong. It could be small green, but I believe it's medium green. So we're going to hit OK. Now, once we start the template, our guys are going to be able to use fortify tools, and they're going to be able to build anything that's in the preset medium green. All right. Next, we're going to place down 1 cav modules, require no AI radio. Place it down. You don't have to do anything else. Now, there are lots of other modules in here that give you advanced functionality when setting up your mission. Not all of these are necessary. You're going to have to learn what they are and how to play around with them. You're not going to use every single one every mission, but there are lots of good and helpful modules in here. Old man is not. We're not going to be using that. For this one, for this mission, I am going to place down let's see. Okay, let's edit some terrain. I'll show you how to do that at least. So when you're in the editor and you find an area of the map that you're not quite happy with, that you would like to be able to customize it. Let's say I wanted to build like a little fort here, and I just don't like the layout of these buildings. Very helpful module is the hide terrain objects module. If you place this down, you will see now that there is a little circle showing you its area of effect. And if you double click on it, we'll see the object types. So what this is going to do is going to hide any object that is within its area. So we can select it to hide buildings, to hide walls and fences, to hide vegetation, and other. So this is going to hide everything basically. But if we didn't want it to hide buildings, we could uncheck it. If we didn't want it to hide vegetation, we could uncheck that. In this case, let's have it hide everything. Next, if we want to customize the area of this module, we're going to go to System Transformation, and we can change its shape from either a circle, an ellipse, or a rectangle. Let's create a rectangle, and then let's change its size. So we want it to be 25 meters by 25 meters instead of 5 meters by 5 meters. So now we have this very large square that can hide anything that is within its area of effect. Sometimes with certain objects, you're actually going to have to get like the center of the building for it to work. Like example, this object is, half of it or a little less than half of it is within the area of effect, but it's not hidden. You would just have to expand it or move it to hide the object. Sometimes the hitboxes are weird. All right, so now we've just created our like little blank slate here. We've removed these objects, so our players will not be able to see them. They shouldn't be able to interact with them. However, in Arma, this is not completely 100% foolproof. Sometimes when you hide objects, depending on how the map was created, the AI will still be able to interact with them, or will still believe that there is a building there. Or if you try to drive a vehicle through here, it might still run into an invisible building. So it's not 100%. You're going to have to do your own testing and fiddle around with it. It's just going to kind of be a process. But anyway, let's just hope that this is 100% working. We've got our blank slate here. Now we want to build a little fort. So now we have free reign, a blank canvas. We can come into objects, props, and in the search bar, we can search for whatever we want. So if we want to make some trenches, why don't we search trench? And we'll put down some trenches here. A couple hotkeys, by the way, if you don't know them, if you want to move anything, click on an object, hold left alt, and then drag up and down. You can change the elevation of something. Very helpful. And then if you want to rotate an object, click on it, hold down left shift, and then drag. Now these are the absolute basics when it comes to transforming an object. We have lots of other different options up here um, that allow us to move objects in 3D and change all of the axes. But generally speaking, unless you're doing something more advanced, left shift to rotate an object and left alt to raise and lower it is going to do you just fine. Another important thing that I will show you here is the toggle vertical mode. This means that now you can, objects will no longer snap into the ground. So if you wanted to, you could have this go underground. It's very helpful when you're trying to make like things flat. So like, let's say we've got some sandbags here. We'll type sandbag. Sandbag long. All right, let's say we're trying to put some sandbags, but we don't want them to be at such a weird angle here. A little helpful trick is if you hold down now left alt and drag up, you'll notice that it is again, like completely vertical. But then if you drag it back to the ground, it's going to snap to whatever the terrain is here. So if you don't want that, drag it up in the air, turn off vertical mode, bring it back down, and then bam. That's something that's kind of helpful. Makes it a little bit prettier. Anyway. All right, now we can build our defenses and have fun. Let's build a bunker. Gonna build a bunker here. This is not pretty, but whatever. I'm just showing you that you can customize and build to your heart's content. It's going to take some looking to figure out where things are that you want and what is available to you. But if your mind can think of anything, just type in the search box. You might have to pick a few synonyms for whatever the object is, but you can probably find it. There's a lot of shit in here. Let's say, though, that you wanted to place down some static weapons or something like that. So you're going to leave the props menu, and instead you're going to go to blue 4. Let's say we're looking for like an American machine gun. We're going to type static. This is going to bring up a bunch of static weapons. Here's a M2 Browning machine gun. We can place it down. Let's say, though, that we don't want the AI. We're going to click on this, we're going to click on the man here, and we're just going to hit delete. And now we've got our little machine gun there. Perfect. Alternatively, you can uncheck the box down here that says place vehicles with crew, and then it won't spawn with any crew. And you can place your weapons wherever you want them. Let's see. Let's say that we want some AI, friendly AI that are not players, to assist our troops. All we got to do is come in here, and we can plop some dudes down. Most important thing is that we don't want any of them to be set as playable. All right, bam, there you go. Now let's say that we're happy with this template that we've created, and it's time that we want to put our blank canvas on the server and get it all ready to be a playable mission. There are a couple things that we're going to have to do. First and foremost, we're going to have to go up here to Scenario, and we're going to select Save As. From here, we are going to save our mission. The typical naming convention for first cav missions is going to be 1, and then all caps cav underscore, then the name of the mission. So this is going to be called Snake underscore Island, and I'm going to name it V1 just so that I know that this is my very first version of it. I'm going to hit save. All right, next we are going to have to Alt Tab. I hope that this portion shows up in the recording. I believe it will. But what we're going to want to do is go to our documents. From here, in documents, we're going to look for Arma 3 other profiles. We're going to find the profile that created this scenario. So for example, mine is First Lieutenant J. Kaufman. So I'm going to click on my profile there. From here, I'm going to go into my missions folder. And now I'm going to see at the top here is my 1cav Snake Island. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to see this file, the mission SQM. This mission SQM, you're never going to want to touch it unless you've done this for a while. Things are a little bit more advanced. This is where it's saving all of the objects that you've placed on the server and their exact coordinates, etc. You're not going to want to touch this mission SQM. Just keep it here. Next, we are going to want to create a couple files. So just for the ease of this demonstration, I'm going to go to an old template and I'm going to copy and paste in the other necessary files. The first one that we're going to want to create is a description.ext. In this description, we've got some important lines of code or script here. So basically, it's just these top 7. This is going to show you the author. So an example, or for right now, I created this template, so that works. You can put in your own name there if you've created the template. On load name, this is going to be the name of the template that shows up on the loading screen whenever the troops are loading in. So for example, I want to make this one 1cav : snake or battle of Snake Island. And then these last 2 lines are going to show 1st Cavalry Division on the loading screen, and then it's also going to pull up our 1st Cav loading screen JPEG. This is showing, this is for respawn, which it's actually redundant because we already set the respawn delay and we've set the respawn point. But this disable AI equals true, actually that's redundant as well. But if you want to just copy and paste this, I'll have the files available for you. And then later, as you get a little bit more experienced, you can create your own, add things in, remove things as you want. But anyway, so we've edited this description. So after that, we're going to hit save and then we're going to close it. And I'm going to show you where those redundancies were, by the way. So if we go into attributes, multiplayer, we've already selected respawn and custom position. We set the respawn delay to 15 seconds. And then we want to hit this disable AI button, by the way. I forgot to say that earlier. This is going to make it so that the other playable spawns that we put down aren't going to load in as AI. And we can also just set this to game type sandbox if we want it. You don't have to do any of that, but anyway, we're going to hit OK. We're going to Alt-Tab. We're going to go back into our folder here. We're going to click on our init, our init.sqf file. A lot of this code is written by Ashton. This is going to remove player weapons whenever they spawn in. That's what this first line is. This next line is going to remove stamina. This is important. And then lastly, this is our static line paradrop script. This is just kind of like basic stuff that we keep in every one. Again, as you're scripting and adding other things in, you're going to, like if you're creating a complex scripted mission, you're going to have to add things into this init. But as it stands right now, this is all you'll need. You'll be able to just copy this folder and paste it into, whatever template that you create on your own. We didn't actually edit anything here, so I'm not going to save it. Next, we're going to create a folder called images. And inside here, we're going to have our 1st Cav loading screen. You can create your own variation that you want. Just make sure that it's named loading screen and it's a JPEG. And a couple of these, this folder is again for the paradrop script that was in the init. Again, you can copy and paste this in there and it'll be fine, just don't touch it. I also have a sounds folder in here, just because in some of my missions I've scripted audio cues to play. I'm not actually doing any of these in that mission template, so it doesn't have to be in here. But it's in there anyway for now. It's not going to hurt anything. All right, so now that we've got our init and our description set up and our images, those are the absolute basic necessities. We are pretty much done here. We're going to go back into Arma. Now that we added in those other files and folders, we're going to want to go into scenario and hit save. That's crucial that you do that. Next, you're going to go to export, export to multiplayer. All right, now if we go and find our Arma 3 folder in Steam Apps Common, we're going to look for Arma 3. I've saved it on a different drive, sorry. Program files, Steam, Steam Apps Common, Arma 3. We're now going to find our MP missions folder. And this is going to be our exported version of this mission into multiplayer. And we've got the first cav Snake Island v1 .pbo. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And what you're going to want to do then is pull up Discord, and you're going to want to add the file, yada yada yada, and send it to me, and then I will upload it to the server on FileZilla, and you'll be good to go. So whenever you want to, well, I'm just going to go ahead and add it to FileZilla right now onto the server to show you how to load the mission. MP missions. Let's double check. Okay, Snake Island's on there. Perfect. All right, we can quit out of the editor. Now if we go into multiplayer, direct connect to the first cav server, we are going to have to log in as admin, and then we're going to type hashtag missions. Give it a second to load. All right, we're going to go down and find our map here. 39 maps in the server. We picked Yelkudia. I named it Snake Island W1. I'm going to click on it, hit continue, and bada bing, bada boom. So if you recall, we created our Zeus slot first, and we named it Company Commander. So if you click on this slot, you're going to load in as Zeus. Next, we created our little headquarters element with the platoon leader, the platoon RTO. We have our first squad here. We have our second squad here. We have our reserve and recruits here. And then lastly, we have the aircraft commander. Now, these slots are going to show up here based on the order that you place them down. So if you want to keep with the convention, do it in this order. Create the Zeus guy first, create headquarters, create first squad, create second squad, create reserve and recruit, and then aviation last. All right, so we've selected our Zeus slot. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go ahead and load in just to show you that it works. All right, so here we have our map. We have our little headquarters map marker that we placed down. You'll notice that the map marker that we used for respawn is not visible, which is good. We don't want it to be. All right, next we're going to hit continue.
Channel switched.
We have now loaded into the server. You can see that because we disabled the AI earlier in, I think it was attributes multiplayer, disable AI, no other AI have spawned here where the other slots are for the people to load in. We have our working arsenal here. We have a bunch of ace medical crates with the proper advanced medical items. We're going to have 2 empty boxes here that the lads can put in their own static weapons, ammunitions, explosives, grenades, etc. And most importantly, if we press escape and hit respawn, good. We're now going to be able to respawn on our custom respawn point. Perfect. We respawned right here. You'll notice that stamina is off. We can sprint for however long we want, even though that we're laden with lots of equipment because of the init.sqf and the description.ext file in the folder. And if we press Y, because we're in the Zeus slot, we are able to bring up Zeus functionality. All right, so this is going to conclude part one, showing you how to create the basic template. And again, I showed you the most bare bones minimum of what you can do in the editor. Things that you can do in the editor, it's actually remarkable. Arma is one of the only games where you have a complete sandbox and you can create just about anything that you want with scripts at your disposal. I'm gonna link you as well a YouTube channel of a lovely Australian YouTuber who runs his own Arma community, and he creates tutorials to show you how to script dozens and dozens of cool things that you can make some wonderful missions. Pretty much your imagination is the limit when it comes to scripting things in Arma. Anyway, in part two, I'm going to show you how to do some basic things in Zeus and how we do things in the first cav. All right.